Bonjour everyone, I am Annelise Caillès and welcome to Parlez-Vous CEO, where we ditch the corporate talk and get real about entrepreneurship. Each week, I chat with founders and CEOs who build businesses their way, through the failures, pivots, and breakthroughs. And they bring the fire. Plus, I'll drop some golden nuggets of wisdom from my own entrepreneurial journey. This is your space to grow, learn, and evolve with a true growth mindset. Remember, success isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Now let's kick things off and get this party started. Hello, bonjour, bonjour, hello. Welcome to another episode of Parlez-Vous CEO. My name is Annelise Caillès and I am your host, and I am super excited to have with me Dina. Dina Kaplan went from being a tech COO to a meditation teacher after discovering what her body really needed. She co-founded Blit TV, a top 50 website that raised tens of millions. But she knew something deeper was calling. She left everything, traveled for 2.5 years, studying meditation and masters worldwide. Now she runs The Path, teaching meditation to thousands and bringing ancient practices to a modern mind. Dina, in your own word, could you describe with our listeners just meeting you today a bit about your background and story?
Yes, and bonjour everyone, and thank you so much, Annelise, for having me. Really excited and grateful to be here. And yes, what you said was right. I was running this company and in the press every day and speaking at all these fancy conferences around the world. My life looked really glamorous from the outside, but on the inside, I was a mess. And I was even having panic attacks, having them constantly. And it was so intense and so constant that I couldn't even walk across the street by myself in New York City where I was living because I wasn't sure if I'd make it to the other side. So yes, that prompted a big journey around the world, ended up meaning really happenstance through meeting a guy that I met on a plane as I landed in India, and we walked off into Delhi together, and he invited me on a meditation retreat that was 10 days silent, no phone, no computer, really nothing except for meditating and doing our laundry because it was very, very hot. And it completely changed my life. And so now my life is dedicated towards basically saving my former self. I want to help people, especially people that really want to have huge impact with their careers or their lives and their family circles, their social circles, nonprofit, etc. And I do that through a few different ways. I run a really beautiful meditation teacher training program that is probably the worst marketed and titled product ever, because really it just, I mean, yes, you learn how to guide meditations, but it takes people on this incredibly deep path that is healing and inspiring and fun, and really gives you deep insight into the habits and patterns that you have and how you could shift them to live in a happier way. So I'm doing one now. We're actually about to announce the next one. So if anyone listening might be interested, even if you think you might possibly be interested, you can let me know at dina@thepath.com, or we'll share more afterwards. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching for people in business and finance, nonprofits, all sorts of different fields, a lot in the music space, which is really fun. And I'm really blessed to work with some artists as well. So that is great. And I lead a lot of retreats. I do a lot of work with companies from Amazon and Microsoft and McKinsey and more. And then I write about meditation too. In fact, I'm at this pace of writing an article a day right now. I'm in Iceland. So feeling very inspired and ultimately just wanting to inspire people to live in a happier way with no panic attacks and more mindful of the impact of our words and actions on other people.
Wow, that's really inspiring, and thank you for sharing, Dina. So you went from being a tech CEO to pivoting to meditation. What was the most surprising, good and bad, by shifting careers like that?
That's a great question. Well, the great irony, which I can laugh at myself for also, is that in the end, I'm actually running a company now again. It just happens to be in the field of meditation. So I guess the funny thing about the most surprising thing is that I am back running a company again with all that that requires, even though it is in the field of meditation and not in tech, web video, which brought me into the whole fun tech world with the stresses and glamour and everything on all ends of that. So that was the surprising thing, is that ultimately, if you're running a company, you are running a company. And I guess on the positive side, the impact of teaching someone the Buddhist Dharma, I'm teaching mindfulness from the Buddhist tradition, and people have life changing things happen after literally the first class of our meditation teacher training program. In fact, in the class that I'm teaching now, we're going about to go into week 8. Literally after the first class, one woman quit her job and actually now has another job, a new job that she started, that she's much happier with. She started on Monday. Another person quit her job a few weeks into it. Another person ended a relationship, their relationship 2 weeks in. So it gets you to see the truth. And that's a really rewarding thing. So I had no idea that being on this path would lead me to work with world famous music artists, which has been wonderful. I had no idea that I would end up leading retreats for Microsoft and Amazon and McKinsey and all of these, really impactful companies. So I guess, yeah, both extremes, which I guess is everything in life, isn't it?
Wow, that's really profound and such an interesting adventure. And Dina, so you're already taught thousands how to meditate through the path. What have you found has been the most effective channel for reaching new students, and what hasn't worked that you thought would work?
That's a great question. But what did not work? Well, I'll tell you first what works. What works is when I'm in a good place, when I am more focused on mindfulness and less on running the company side of
Mm.
mindfulness. And we have an incredible percentage of people in these classes and that come on the retreats that we run that I have met literally at an airport, on an airplane, on a subway, on a bus. So it's been really surprising and rewarding. And I guess I would say flattering. And people, when they meet me, will say, "You're a very good brand ambassador because you're really happy." And I'll just laugh and look at them and say, like, well, it's kind of my job, because if you're not joyful with all of this meditation, then what's the point? So that's been very surprising. For sure, a lot of my friends come on our retreats and take our teacher training program and other courses. And so that's really nice that people trust me, even as their friend, enough to come and study the Dharma and go on their own mindfulness journeys, especially people that have kind of been afraid of it or afraid of what's going on in their mind. Jack Kornfield often quotes his friend Annie Lamont, the poet, who says, "My mind is like a dangerous neighborhood. I try not to go there alone." So I often will quote that when I'm guiding and say, but you're not alone. We're meditating in a group. But the fact that people that are very close with me will trust me with their minds and with their mindfulness path is really rewarding. What does not work, does not work, does not work. And you would think I might have learned this the first time, but I did not, is meta ads. So Facebook and Instagram ads, just, we have poured money and hired incredibly talented people, I think, on this, and it just does not work. And it kind of makes sense when someone is scrolling on social media. It makes sense. It's a little bit of a different mindset than what you would need to think about taking, let's say, a 12-week meditation certificate teacher training program. So, on that, everyone tells me that I'm wrong, but it just has to be that if you're doing paid marketing, that Google Ads would make way more sense, because they're people who are searching meditation teacher training or meditation course will have that incentive that they're looking for a course. Because, yeah, taking a meditation teacher training course, that's a commitment. It's just a 3-month commitment. But I don't know if you're ready to do that when you're looking up, the latest news on Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift. Yeah.
I hear you. That's interesting. And so meditation can be, I imagine, meditation can be hard to market and also to monetize without feeling that you're selling spirituality, maybe. How do you balance running a sustainable business while staying true to the mission and your values?
It's a beautiful question. It's funny you asked that. I'm on this roll of writing. So I almost wrote an article today on guru economics. And that article, I'm not a guru and would never claim to be, but it was an article that originally came from a teacher who I was studying with, not on the Buddhist path, but on the Vedic path, where the wisdom comes from the Hindu tradition and from the Vedas. And this teacher charges a heck of a lot for his retreats and gets some criticism from it, including from people that are on the actual retreats, which I have been on multiple times. But I actually believe that he should charge whatever he can charge, because on the Buddhist side and on the Hindu side, we don't have the Catholic Church behind us. We don't have a congregation of a synagogue that you would have behind you. There's no entity that's behind you. And so you actually have to make money in order to keep doing this pursuit. And the Buddha spoke about the Eightfold Path. These are 8 steps that each of us, even lay people like non monks and nuns, like you and I, we're called householders or lay people. So these are 8 steps that we can all take to live on our path and with ultimately more joy and freedom and delight. And one of them is right livelihood. So teaching the Dharma is kind of a fancy word for saying Buddhist wisdom. So teaching this Buddhist wisdom is really, I think, one of the best things that you can do, other than starting a huge company and offering lots of great jobs for people and healthcare, paying taxes to the government so the government can sustain its social services. I actually think that's a wonderful calling. I'm also the daughter of a Harvard Business School professor, so he brought me up that way. So if you're teaching meditation, you need to make money in order to keep doing it. You're doing a wonderful transformational thing. I don't think one day goes by that I don't have somebody write me and tell me, I'm getting chills right now, how much I, and really me, it's the Dharma being taught through me, how much I have completely changed their lives. I can't promise this for anyone, but I've gotten people out of anxiety forever, got myself out of anxiety forever. I don't think I'll ever have a panic attack again. Lifted people out of alcoholism, out of depression. In fact, about 8 or 9 classes in on the meditation teacher training, for the last 3 or 4 classes, someone has said, I no longer have depression or anxiety except about this class ending, which is very charming. But so with that, you have to charge. Like, I need to be in a place where I can, have a light behind me to be here on this podcast with you. I need to be well fed enough that I can be cogent and teach well and talk to you to share the message. So thank you for that opportunity. I need to sleep well. So I need a comfortable bed, or a bed that's comfortable enough. So I need to make money. So I have no problem charging. In fact, some people might say we charge a lot. I don't think we do. I actually think we should charge 2 or 3 times more. And if we could, I would. So I have zero problem with it. And it's interesting. There's also something about people paying money for a course or a retreat that commits them to it. I will share, I have never, ever had someone come for free on 100% full scholarship to our meditation teacher training program. But I just met 2 people in Tanzania where I just was on a medical mission to help offer surgeries to kids in need there. And I met 2 extraordinary people there involved in a school for girls who have just been through hell. And so just on instinct, I offered them for the first time ever a full scholarship, except they paid $30 each, which is actually not nothing, in Tanzania. And they actually didn't end up being able to stay in the course. And we rarely have people leave. It was due to other factors, but I think there is something about paying for a class, even if it's a lot of money, especially if it's a lot of money, paying for your private coaching. That means that you're going to show up and you're going to be there. And yeah, with no Catholic Church behind me, it's the only way.
I agree with you. I think there is really something to it. Signing up for a class that's free versus paying
Yeah.
for a class, you're going to be a lot more committed. And I think you need to have blood in the game in order
Yeah.
to be serious about, especially for ex, big changes like that, right? If
Yeah.
you want things with a big impact. So, what would you say, Dina, was the biggest operational challenge that you're facing right now with the path? And is it the teaching, maintaining quality? Is it something else?
The teaching is the easy part. It's kind of like Lin-Manuel Miranda would say that when he was the lead in Hamilton on Broadway, he would say that was the easiest part of my day, which is unbelievable because what he was doing on that stage was, I mean, just pure, sheer genius and a heck of a lot of work. But I would say probably the same, that the teaching is a delight. It's a lot on Sundays. Right now, our teacher training course is on Sundays. And after the class, which is 2 hours and 15 minutes, I actually offered a bonus free class for everyone on manifesting serendipity and tapping into your intuition, which has been wild. We're all in this bubble of serendipity right now, which has been really fun. So I'll do that. And then I have 2 hours off, and then I'll often lead a Sangha for graduates of our teacher training program with new wisdom and meditations. And yeah, so that's a lot, but the teaching is the delightful part. The operations are challenging because we have a whole back end system to make the path possible. Our course right now is on Thinkific. Our email for better for worse, really for worse, is through MailChimp. Our website is on Squarespace. We keep lists of our classes on Airtable or Google Docs. So we have probably 12 to 15 different platforms, and none of them speak to any of the other platforms. Everything is done manually. I will often be writing thank you for signing up for the class if one of my heads of operations is off and it's on the weekend. So it's honestly been really hard to figure out the back end admin side. So if anyone in your audience is interested in a really fun, great company, but doing work that's not super glamorous, that would be great. I think the other thing that's really challenging is that people might fall in work love with me, hopefully easy to do, certainly with the path and the classes and the teachings, which are unscrutable, like absolutely incredible. But the thing is, you have to show up on the admin side. Like, you have to show up. We're very kind and warm and hand holding with our community. And I have found there is a bit of an intersection of, I don't know if the word is flakiness, but kind of not showing up with people that are in the wellness world. It's something like, the wind was blowing in the wrong direction, and therefore I decided that I'm not going to work today. But that does not work. I come from a pretty hardcore work focused family, and I once last year I had to guide a retreat for Amazon in Europe. I had just done a session for their North American and Asian teams, and I was flying to Barcelona to lead a big workshop for all of the European heads of their warehouses. So the heads of operations and the chief scientists all across Europe, people were flying in for it. I got COVID. It's kind of a funny story how I got it. One of my clients is a professional poker player, and so he taught me to play poker at a casino, and I, with the serendipity and all of that, ended up winning a ton, like almost a bizarre amount for my first time playing poker. I also have very good luck. So there's that. So I had all these chips, and I didn't know that these chips are passing from person to person, of course. And so when you are touching them and holding them to cash them in at the end of the night, you just can never touch your nose or your face. So I didn't know this. I have all these chips with all the money that I made. And that night, for sure, I got COVID. So the next morning I woke up and started feeling sick. Then I was really sick, and they said, "Oh, it's Spain. We don't really care so much about COVID. We'll see you tomorrow." So, long story short, I had to lead this workshop for very, very, very smart people at Amazon at the worst day of COVID. I went through 2 boxes of tissues, coughing and sneezing my way through it, but they told me to come, and I came. So, I'm a huge believer that if you make a commitment to something, that you just do that, but not everyone in the wellness world has that same commitment.
I hear you, and the stamina and that resilience and the discipline, right? To push through when the wind is not blowing right.
Thank you. I've taught through COVID multiple times. I have actually on my very first ever meditation teacher training class that I led. I'm allergic to bees. I actually have a scar
Hmm.
from a bee bite from Turkey. And literally before the first class ever, I got a bee bite and my leg was blowing up. I knew that I'd have to go to the hospital afterwards, but I showed up on time, taught that entire class pretty flawlessly. People loved it, and then knew I'd have to go deal with this and go to the hospital, but showed up for class, did not say a word.
Oh
You
my
just gotta
God.
Part of another one of the steps on the Eightfold Path is right speech. And part of that is you never lie. And so if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I will be there.
Wow, you really embody the show must go on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Full on.
And so, Dina, you left a successful tech company because your body was screaming at you to
Yeah.
stop. What do you wish you had known then that you would tell other women founders who are pushing through their own warning signs?
Yeah. And honestly, I think men do as well, but mine were related to being a woman founder and just not knowing how to be myself in that role. Like if we didn't get a deal that I wanted to close, I would cry. And my co founders were like, there's no crying at startups. Kind of like a league of their own. And so I just suppressed all my natural emotions and my natural personality. And that's what really did not scale. That's what had my body revolting. So I would say for everyone to listen to your body, listen to yourself. I mean, in Vipassana meditation, which is the style of meditation that I primarily teach, we are told that everything that's happened in our lives is mapped to the body. And so when your body is screaming at you, that is saying something. And really it's similar in a way to getting out of a relationship that doesn't serve you, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or a work relationship. I had a really difficult relationship with one of my co-founders. I was COO, and this was one of my co-founders who was leading the company, and I should have just gotten out of there. So I will say to listen to those signs. I mean, in fact, that's the first bit of advice that I gave in our intuition class. It's that we have actually what Tom Knowles, the Vedic master, would say, we have this faint level of feeling, this little intuition, this voice that will speak to us. So calm the mind and settle the mind enough to listen for that. And then when it speaks, you have to follow it. And I knew that I should have gotten out of there. I probably should have gotten out of there 5 years earlier. But I am really, really glad that I left, at least when I did, because it probably saved my life.
Wow, that's really potent. But Dina, then my next question is, how do you know? Because you're saying you have to listen to your voice, you have to listen to this intuition. But how do you sometimes make the difference about what,
Yeah.
for instance, imposter syndrome, right, is telling you like you can do this versus the real
Yeah.
voice that you have to listen to?
This is funny because this is literally what I'm teaching in the intuition class now. There is a difference. Tom Knowles would say that it's this faint level of feeling, this whisper of intuition. For me, it comes through like this deep knowing that literally just comes through me. It's wisdom that is not intellectual. So it's not from the mind. It's not a pro or con list. It's wisdom that drops right through me and I can hear it. It's almost as if the words like you might see on a TikTok or an Instagram caption, like the big words are coming in the purple or pink font outlines. It's that you do need to train yourself to notice the difference between that and, oh, I'd really like a coffee Heath Bar Crunch ice cream. That's a different voice. Or the voice of anxiety. We have a lot of people in the class that I'm teaching now who have a lot of voices, but those are the voices of anxiety. I would say this is something that you can access if you do even a short meditation. At the end of that meditation, you can ask a question, and I believe that the answer will often just come through you. Or it's something that will come to you with just complete clarity. So it's not a swirling of like a rumination on something that happened in the past or a fear about the future. It's not the mind spinning in circles. It's more of a certain voice, a certain knowing, and it will probably come in the form of a whisper. So listen to that. And the more you follow it, the more it will speak to you because, like all of us, like anything, it wants to be heard. So when you start listening and following that small intuition, then that's what makes that intuition speak up and give you the bigger advice. I am a warm weather person. I travel full time. I travel with 20 sundresses pretty much and nothing else. Just had this intuition that I was meant to be in Iceland. And I guess I could turn the camera around, but I'm in Iceland now. I had to go to Uniqlo and buy a jacket and hat and gloves and long sleeve shirts and everything. And you know what? First night, I went outside my hotel. The Northern Lights were there. I'm standing next to a woman, and it turns out we know each other, and she's chairing a conference about women leadership that I used to speak at. Like, it's been one coincidence after another, and I was clearly meant to be here.
Wow, that's fascinating what you're sharing. I love it, Dina. Dina, so you've been in male dominated newsroom, the White House, tech startups, and now you run your own thing. How has your relationship with your own voice changed across those chapters?
Yeah, so I think especially when I was at my tech company, I really lost myself. I was just living in a way where I said what I thought I should say, was doing what I thought I should do. I never took an evening off. I never took a weekend off. I really burned out. And now here I am running a company again, but in mindfulness. But I am funny and quirky and maybe weird, even with my students and with the people that work with me. I do listen to my intuition. It used to be that I would never move a meeting no matter what. But now, if I have like absolute chaos going on around me, I might move a meeting once or twice a year. So, learning to listen to that voice of intuition, even around work, including internal work, and just being playful and silly and at least trying to be funny, maybe succeeding about half the time. So, I think the more that we can be our full selves and bring our full selves to work, the less we will feel really just so separate and unable to throw ourselves in and even enjoy being ourselves at work. Like, we should be able to
Enjoy.
be our full selves. And so I'm still practicing that. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm definitely better at it now than I was when I was helping to run Blip.
And if you had to redo it all over again, what pieces of advice would you give yourself if you were 2, 3 years ago restarting the path?
Restarting the path, I think I probably would have left New York City earlier.
Mhm.
It's fun and I love it, but there's a lot of chaotic energy. I was meditating 2 or 3 or 4 hours a day, and one of those hours I felt like was just to fritter away the stress and tension of New York City. So maybe I would have written books instead. So I'm
Mm.
actually going to do that now. That's why I'm in Iceland, is to write a book. So to have more, I really want to impact people. I really want to impact the world and show people and teach people that we can live with more joy and freedom and kind of aliveness. We can invite in serendipity and intuition. So I think a great way to share a message is through a book. So that is what's next for me. And it's scary and exciting and everything in between.
That's exciting. What is the book about, if I may ask?
Well, I will let you know in a few months after it's done.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. So, Dina, where can people find you and what's coming up this year for the business? Can you share a bit
Thank
more?
Yeah, so anyone that's interested in mindfulness or the path or meditation, you can write SIT, which is another word for meditation, S like Sam, IT, at thepath.com. I'm also on Instagram at Dina Kaplan, DinaKaplan. And I've been writing a lot on LinkedIn. I don't know why I started writing there. I've written for a lot of other publications, but it's been fun. So find me there, just Dina Kaplan from The Path Meditation. And I am building up my TikTok. So I'll be really, really grateful if you're listening, if you can follow me. I'm at Meditation Dina, DIN. It's been really fun to be on that. And we are about to announce our next meditation teacher training program. It will start at the end of January. We have people that have never even meditated before that take this class. So it's really, do you want to go on a journey that deepens your understanding of the impact of your words and actions on others? Tap into your intuition, live with more joy and calm and ease. And so, if so, check that out. I am taking on a few more private clients. So that's at thepath.com, just www.thepath.com. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, I can also set you up with one of the graduates of our teacher training program. So either with me or one of our graduates. And I'm always hosting get-togethers and mini retreats. I've been hosting meditation and Merlot events. I just hosted 3, one in New York, Seattle, and Los Angeles. So Definitely sign up for our email list for invites. We don't send out many emails, but then you might enjoy an amazing meditation and also meet friends for life.
Amazing, Dina. It was really a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Annalise. It was amazing. Thank you. I'm so grateful.
And that wraps up today's episode. I am Annelise Cayez, and I can't wait to join you again next week. Thanks for listening to Parlez-Vous CEO today. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. It helps us keep going. And connect with us on Instagram at Parlez-Vous CEO. I am Annelise Cayez, and I know some days are harder than others. On those tough days, think back to why you started. What you're doing today matters, even when you can't see the results yet. Ideas are great, but it's what you do with them that counts. Find everything we talked about today at parlezvousceo.com. See you next week, and you've got this.